What man art thou that dost discreet in night, so stumblest on my counsel?
By name I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint, is hateful to myself, because it is an enemy to thee. Had I written, I would tear it apart. Tear the word.
My ears have not yet drunk 100 words of that tongue's utterance, yet I know the sound. Art thou not Romeo and a Montague?
Neither, fair maid, if either thee dislike.
How comest thou here, tell me, and wherefore? The orchard walls are high and hard to climb, and the place dead, considering who thou art. If any of my kinsmen find thee there, dear.
With love's light wings did I perch these walls. The orchard walls are high and hard to climb, and the place death, considering who thou art. Therefore, any kinsmen are no stop to me.
If they do see thee, they will murder thee.
Alack, there lies more peril in thine eye than 20 of their swords. Look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enmity. Julia, about this text, what will happen if Romeo is found in the garden?
Yeah, as Juliet says in line 70, if they see him, he will get murdered.
Absolutely.
But what does Juliet ask Romeo to do if he really loves her?
Well, the thing about Romeo and Juliet is that they come from two different families, and these two different families hate each other, which is also why he will get murdered. So, in line 47, you can see that she says, Romeo, doff thy name, and take for that name which is no part of thee, and for that name that which is no part of me, take all myself, which means she wants him to, throw away his name so they can be together.
Yeah.
When does Juliet realize that she is being overheard?
The fact is that Julie is standing on a balcony, and Romeo is standing in the dark. So when Romeo says that he will take her by her words, Juliet gets scared and asks him in line 53 to 54, what man art thou that dost bescreen in night, so stumblest on my counsel? So she asks who's right beside her.
What, right under her?
Under her,
yeah.
But when do they actually begin to speak to each other?
Okay, so for the first part of the text, we have monologues quite a bit of the time. What actually happens is when she's speaking out into the dark, Romeo answers. He says, I take thee at thy word, call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth I never will be Romeo. Like Julia said in the last question, this scares her, but this starts the conversation between the two.
Yeah.
What does that which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet actually mean?
Julie is having this monologue with herself and is talking about the conflict between her being a Capulet and Romeo being a Montague. And therefore she says that which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet, is a reference to Romeo saying that if he just would cast away his name and take another, he would still be as sweet to her as a rose if it wasn't called a rose.
Yes, and just to elaborate, it also means that their love would be just as sweet even if they weren't in these conflicting families.
And what does Juliet mean by saying, "Oh Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo"?
Okay, so like I said, these families are conflicting, and basically she says that they can't be together because they're these two different families, and therefore she grieves that he is. Okay, this makes no sense. I'm just going to try this again. Why did you turn up the sound?
I don't know.
Okay.
She's saying Romeo. Wherefore art thou Romeo? Because she can't be with him as long as he's a Montague and she's a Capulet.
You're absolutely right. Why did I not?
So she's in love with this boy, whose name is Romeo, and if he wasn't a Montague, it wouldn't be a problem.
You are absolutely right. Superb. Why is this scene called the balcony scene? Is there evidence in the text other than the stage direction?
Yeah, we talked about that one. Juliet is standing upon him, because she can't see him, because he is in the dark underneath her,
Yes, absolutely.
hiding in a bush or something.
Well, he's in the garden, and the garden is dark, and therefore she can't see him. This is also indicated by the fact that she becomes scared when he talks directly to her. And yeah, as we see in line 50 to 54, or 49 to 54.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
The next one is, which of the following ideas or themes are evident in this scene? Find a quotation to fit each. And we have left out two. So if we start with the two we left out, which are time and fate.
yeah. Fate we've left out because they don't end up together, so it's not their fate, them falling in love and marry.
Having a life together.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we've left out time because generally for Shakespeare's texts and different plays and sonnets, love is timeless, and therefore time is not a theme in the text.
As mentioned, love is a very important theme because Romeo and Juliet is a love story, of course. But we do also see it when Romeo talks to Juliet in line 50, saying, "Call me but love, and I'll be new Baptist.
Yes.
Henceforth I will never be Romeo."
Yeah, so this indicates that he's willing to give up his name for her so they can be together.
Yeah, and that's definitely love.
Yeah. This also shows the conflict, but it's not the only thing that shows the conflict between the two families, because on in line in the last line, line 74, he says, "And I'm proof against their enmity," which shows the contrast between the families and the fact that they're willing to actually fight each other just because of the name indicates the conflict.
Yeah, and that's also proof of the two worlds they're living in. On the one hand, it's the Montague family and the Capulets on the other hand. So we're definitely dealing with the theme of two worlds in this balcony scene as well.
Absolutely. And, well, life and death is definitely an important theme here, because Romeo is actually coming here risking his life, as if he will be found in the garden, he will be killed by the Capulet men. So we definitely have a life and death situation here, and it is seen in line 70, where Juliet says to Romeo, "If they do see thee, they will murder thee."
Yeah, which also indicates the power the Capulet men have.
And also
And
the conflict.
what?
And also the conflict.
And also the conflict. So power is also a theme in the text because they are in power.
Yeah, the conflict is
Towards-
definitely in power in this text, because they're actually fearing it. They're searching for ways to work around the Montague Capulet family name conflict, and therefore they're looking to give up their name instead of standing up to their families, which shows the power that the feud has.
Yeah, exactly. And this leads us forward to the kind of love which is reflected in Romeo and Juliet, which is definitely love as madness.
Absolutely.
Because even though this conflict is keeping them apart, they meet and they fall in love, which must be love as madness because they risk their lives for each other.
Yes. We've also talked about it being infatuation because, well, their passion for each other is short-lived, not because they fall out of love or they fight and break up, but because their lives literally end. So you can argue that infatuation is not actually the kind of love that's in here because they don't get the chance to see their love run through or go to the end, but it ends up being short-lived because they die.
Yeah. So love and loss is definitely an aspect of love which is reflected in this story, because they love each other, but they have to, I can say, go against.
Let go of their families.
Yeah.
In truth.
So they get each other, but they lose both their life and their families.
Yes. And we also have the passion, the passionate love, which we see in this text. Just the fact that Romeo is willing to climb the walls to get over to talk to Juliet indicates that this is an incredible amount of passion, and therefore we've said that this is important for the text as well. Yes.